All right, the time is 9:15 a.m. We'll convene the meeting of the Seward County Board of Commissioners. The Open Meetings Act is posted on the walls required and copies are available upon request. Please stand as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please make sure your phones are silenced. And Randy, can you call the roll?
Hi. Here. Zabrowski.
Here.
Carrot.
Here.
Here. Okay, we'll go to item number 3, which is approving minutes of July 14th, 2026. If there are no changes, we'll take a motion.
Move to approve the minutes of July 14, 2026.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Carrot.
Yes.
Amick.
Yes.
Oh, Klein. Yes. Amick.
Yes. That's 440 opposed to approving minutes from July 14th, 2026. Item number 4, is anyone from the public wish to speak? Okay, anyone from the public, any organizations? No organizations, any officials? Okay. Go to commissioner reports. Reagan, we'll start with you.
Okay. On Thursday, we had an aging advisory board member. Based on how the rotation works in the schedule, we will need to reappoint 5 members to the aging advisory board. There is still a vacancy in B, so if anybody knows of anybody in B, I've reached out to people with no luck. So if anybody knows of anybody, please encourage them to fill out an application and get it submitted. Secondly, there are some members who are eligible to sign up for a second term. So the way that it works is you can serve for two terms, then you're off for a term, and then you can potentially reapply. Glenda Daubertine from Seward will not be reapplying, so we're going to need a representative from Seward. I did receive an application from Kelly Brionic, and she is from the Garland area, so she did resubmit, so that will come forward for her reappointment, but we are going to need to find some other members. I also had a meeting last week after our commissioner meeting with Matt Howe and Commissioner Amick. We had several questions and some things that we wanted to address with him, and he's Senator Hughes' aide. I'm sure Missy will go into more detail on that. I also attended a brief meeting yesterday at Missile Base Shop. The used motor grader from a township was received in Travis, and a couple of his employees were there in attendance as well to answer any questions about the new machine. So this machine will be used for the road construction crews, so looking forward to seeing that in operation. Also had a meeting with the county attorney's office, and I did complete the aging services budget and submitted it to the clerk. So I did not make any changes other than what Allison had added to the budget, and I think there is a slight decrease in her overall budget from the previous year. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Daryl?
Okay, I had a 4th of July committee meeting. This was just a debrief on the celebration from earlier this month. On balance, everything was viewed as being very successful with really no issues, no problems. I also attended the county shop demo with the new equipment. I continue to spend time at public transit. Did complete a second interview with a candidate for public transit. Recommendations have been given by the hiring committee to HR to extend a conditional offer. Same has been done, and we will deal with that later during this board meeting. Did have a meeting with the sheriff yesterday on several items, including their forthcoming budget, and I have completed the inventory at long last, and it has now been placed in the hands of the county clerk, and we'll have that on the agenda next week for review and approval. That's all I got.
Thank you, Daryl. All right, so I had a meeting with Daryl and Human Resources about the public transit director position, just kind of finalizing our recommendation. As Reagan said, we stayed after the meeting last week and met with Matt Howe, who's Senator Hughes' aide. Topics of discussion were obviously the issue with valuation. We talked a little bit about sales tax, talked about the extension, office funding, ran through some of our proposed ideas that we've had for legislation for a couple years. So one of them being a county sales tax and a tax in a districted area, so that it wouldn't necessarily be imposed on Seward County residents. That's kind of the idea behind that. And then we talked a little bit about gambling machines and where we're at with the budget this year. Since that meeting, Matt has followed up with us several times. It does sound like he is looking into some of these things. So appreciate the relationship that we have with him and with Jana, and getting some of that moved forward. I also had a meeting with the Saline County Highway Superintendent and one of their commissioners, about a possible collaboration with Seward County and the Solid Waste Management Board. More to come on that. I need to have some more conversations before bringing something forward. Also had a meeting with Tim Dworak, who serves as the building inspector for the city of Milford, and Brian Forrell. We went out to the site that we've been talking about forever, and he marked out sort of where the county's property was. Um, Unfortunately, there is personal property on the county's property that will have to be dealt with, and Brian's going to come forward and talk a little bit about some possibilities for moving forward, what that might look like. I know he's been working with Brandy as well, so he'll come forward. It will be a little bit, yeah, but he's going to come forward. He'll share pictures and maps and everything else. Um, did participate in an interview with SCCDP. We do have another interview scheduled this week. On average, I'd say we're meeting 3 times as an executive committee a week right now, so it is quite a bit as we're trying to replace staff. As Reagan and Daryl said, I also was able to stop by the county shop yesterday and check out the new used motor grader, and have some good discussions with John and with Travis as well with Kat. I did get a call and an email about the hill there at Junto, so that first sort of mile or so south of Highway 34. Good discussion. It was very nice. He just kind of asked for some ideas moving forward. I talked to John afterwards about the possibility of using, because we do have more of the permazyme available than what we're planning to test, but potentially using some of that at least on the hill to see if it doesn't help with some of the washboards and what's happening there. I did share that with the landowner, and he seemed appreciative of that. Hopefully it works. We got to test it little by little, though. So hopefully when we get there, it will have worked. Also had a meeting at the county attorney's office. Last night was planning commission. They did push forward the proposed regulations with a few amendments to the board. Before those can come to the board, there are some updates that need to happen, just technical updates and things with the state. The state will have to sign off on floodplain regulations, which will need to be updated as well. So it will be probably a little while before those make it to the board. And then this morning I met with Scott and Greg Butcher about a potential water study with the NRDs, as we talked about last week. And just an update on that, John Moore, who is the environmental engineer that has been kind of talking to us all, is planning to come to the board on August 4th. So that's it for me. Scott?
All right. Last Wednesday, I did a ride along with one of our truck drivers, Gary Sewer. Went up to Columbus and picked up a load of gravel. Had a good conversation with Roland Johnson up there about the amount of gravel they pull out, and it's. I think there's a good relationship between Seward County and Johnson Sand and Gravel. So it was a good experience to get up there, and I think he appreciated to see Commissioner actually up there doing that. So it was a good ride. Truck wasn't real bouncy or nothing. So and CASA board meeting last night where we went over minutes from the last meeting, talked about the director's report, looked at some statistics, and then also discussed finances and how we're going to the money that's in savings right now, some of that's going to get moved into a CD so that it'll be a 15-month CD, and then there's some of the money that needs to be more liquid will stay in the checking account. They talked a little bit more about policy and procedures and fundraising. So there is the duck races. That is for July 29th, I believe. And so you can buy a duck for $5. You can buy 5 ducks for $20, or $20 or $10, 10 ducks for $40, or more if you'd like. But it's a good fundraiser for CASA. Then they have a CASA conference coming up August 21st and 22nd in Lincoln this year. So I am going to see if I can get to that. And then that is about all we had on that meeting. As Misty mentioned, we had planning and zoning meeting last night. A lot of good discussion from the audience as far as was primarily focused on CAFOs and setbacks. A lot of the other components of the new proposed document really didn't get discussed at all. So there are some things that there's a few things that are going to get changed, like the minimum number of animal units was proposed at 501. Now it's going to be dropped to 401, and there was good discussion on that as well. Some of the language as far as ag living versus rural area will get tweaked a little bit. And then one of the other things would be possibly running putting in some type of wording that specifies for chicken barns technology to be used for waste, which I think is a good thing. When you look at old technologies were just dumped into the water and it was out in a lagoon, where now they're taking it, they are storing it indoors, which I think makes a huge difference for smells. So, and like the other commissioner said, missile-based road shop, looking at the new used motor grader, it looks brand new. It is amazing. But for that being a 2018, it looks like a new machine. So hasn't had a lot of use, 2,100 hours. So I'm sure we'll be able to put it to good use. That's all I have.
Thank you. Go to item number 6, which is authorizing the chair to sign the 2025 subrecipient agreement with Nebraska Emergency Management Agency, also known as NEMA, for Emergency Management Performance Grant. Megan, I have to apologize to you that I did not tell you that we should probably send this to Barb to review, although it is standard, and I think you just printed this off of the internet is what we have to do. Is that correct?
That was actually emailed from NEMA.
So it is my fault because I did not tell you that you need to make sure that Barb reviewed it. I'm guessing she has not reviewed it. So we're gonna have to put this on for next week.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you
Nope,
very much.
Is there a due date though, I think, on that? Did I
Yeah,
read that wrong?
It's the 24th is what it says it's due. Is that gonna be an issue?
I'm gonna have to ask for an extension,
That is permissible, correct? An extension.
hopefully.
This is the reimbursement for some of Gary's salary previously. So it's what we're getting back essentially from them, the payout.
If you want to sign it, it's probably standard. Would be my guess. So it's up to the board.
I am okay signing this one. It is just the reimbursement for his salary. It really doesn't have anything to do with her today or in this budget year. It's just the reimbursement. And there's still one more of these that we'll have to do, right?
No, this
This
is the
is it?
final one.
Okay.
This is Mark.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
So we'll take a motion.
I move we authorize the chair to sign the 2025 subrecipient agreement with Nebraska Emergency Management Agency for Emergency Management Performance Grant.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Rocky,
Yes.
McCarrick,
Yes.
Hine,
Yes.
Yes, that's 440 opposed to authorizing the chair to sign the 2025 subrecipient agreement with NEMA. Thank you. We'll take a copy and we'll get it back to you, okay? Sounds good. All right, so we'll go to our 9:30 timed item, which is Blue Valley Community Action Annual Report and Request for Funding.
Sorry.
No, I don't think it. I think it came from there.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, good morning and thank you for allowing us to come present our annual impact report with you. My name is Sherry Weber. I'm the CEO for Blue Valley Community Action. I have Deb Egger, who is our Family Development Coordinator. She oversees Seward County and also Butler County, so she splits her time between the two counties. And then Heather Lytle, who is our Administrative Director, is here with us as well. I would like to extend on behalf of Blue Valley, our condolences for the loss of Ken. He served on our board for a little over a year, and we really appreciated him and his dedication that he did give to our board during that time. Like I said, I have two reports. I'm going to just kind of highlight them. I'm not going to go over in great detail. I kind of want to spend a little bit of time sharing with you some funding challenges that we've had this past year, and then talk about some other program services, some funding that we're going after to try to bring some new services to our communities that we serve. Blue Valley serves 9 core counties, with Seward being one of those, and southeast Nebraska. And then we have limited services in an additional 9 counties. We have between 30 and 35 programs to serve low-income individuals, and our goal really is to help meet their basic needs and then help them to grow through case management services, and then also to collaborate in our communities. Last year, we served 7,867 individuals. That's pretty average. We usually average around 8,000 individuals in our communities that are facing challenges with low income. We had 6,121 individuals enroll in goal-setting programs. So, as I said before, we try to meet their basic needs first, make sure that they've got shelter, housing, clothing, that type of thing. And then we try to enroll them in case management programs so that we can assist them over time to become self-sufficient and not need to be reliant on our services. 97% of those that were enrolled in goal-setting programs achieved 1 or more goals. Our case managers go in, kind of help them set goals, and those goals can range from something pretty small to something rather large, depending on the family and their situation. But then we're kind of that support system to kind of follow up with them to see if they're making that progress, and if not, what we can do to help move them along. So we're pretty proud of that. We consider ourselves hand up, not a hand out, really wanting them to achieve that self-sufficiency. The other part I wanted to share with you is on the back side of that first report is a number of volunteers that we have. We had 593 volunteers last year. And like I said, Deb shares her time between 2 counties because we have limited funding to support her position. And so without our volunteers, we would not be able to keep our center open while she was in Butler County. And we have some volunteers that have served with us for quite a few years, and we're very appreciative of that. They're there at the center to take in donations as they come, to if the food truck comes, get our food pantries ready, give food pantries to individuals that come in, and then make appointments. If Deb's not there, they can at least make that first contact and start building that relationship with clients. So we're very proud of our volunteers and couldn't do what we did without them. I also like to point out the pie chart of our funding sources, which is on here. Blue Valley secured a little over $16 million last year. You will see that 72% of that is federal funds, so most of those are grants coming down to us. We have pretty limited state funding. Most of our grants are federal. Some are federal that funnel through the state, but most of them are straight federal funding. And then 23% of our funding is private funding, so private donations, volunteer time, that type of thing. We also pride ourselves in the fact that for every dollar that we secured, 89 cents of it went back into client services. We try really hard to keep our administrative costs low so that we are utilizing those grant funds as they are supposed to be, and that is giving back to our clients and to our communities. Last year, we did have some challenges with funding. The president budget cut a lot of our grants originally, and then we had a lot of grants that had some decreases as well. Our network sent people to Washington, D.C. to advocate for the work that we do. We worked close with Congressman Flood, who's been very supportive of us, and we were put back into the budget. Our community service block grant funding, which is federal funds that come down through the state, those were first zeroed out and then put back into the budget. But the funds were awarded, but they were not released to us for over 6 months. And so we had to make some adjustments. We actually had our staff, we closed our services for the week between Christmas and New Year's. Staff either had to take that time without pay or use personal time. So that was the savings on our operational cost. We in Saline County actually had 2 facilities and closed one of those down in order and just moved everybody to one facility. We tried as much as possible to figure out ways to cut costs so that we did not have to cut any of our services. And it was a tough time, but we made it through, and hopefully we don't have to experience that again. That kind of opened our eyes to we need to look beyond just our federal grants, and so we are applying for some other funding. We were actually awarded a REACH program, which is a rural health program to help to recognize the onset of any chronic diseases. So we'll be doing some assessments at our WIC clinics, at our family community service centers, where we will assess clients as they come in for anything like high blood pressure, heart conditions, diabetes, obesity, and try to educate them early on so that we can hopefully control that onset of that chronic disease, connect them with family medical providers if they don't have one, or a nutritionist if they need that. And then our housing department is also trying to find some different funding. Radon in our communities is really high. And so we are writing a federal land bank radon reduction grant. And really the theory there is our weatherization program will go into a home, do an assessment of the home, testing for radon. There are some other agencies that test for radon, but the problem is there's no funding for the remediation part of it. And this grant would give that funding for the remediation. So if that's funded, our goal is to do remediation on 75 homes. And that grant is due the end of July. And then we have a second grant. The RFP was released yesterday, and it's a Healthy Homes grant. Same concept, but it's a little bit broader. We can test for lead, mold, pests, and radon. And the same concept. If they test high in any of those levels, we can come in and help remediate that problem. So we're excited about those opportunities. Hopefully next year I'll be able to come share with you that we were funded for those programs and give you some results of our services. The last report is agency or specific to Seward County specifically. And according to the U.S. Census, the population in Seward County is a little over 18,000 individuals. That is our second largest county after Gage County, which has 21,000. The poverty level in Seward County is 7.9%, which is the lowest. Seward County has the lowest poverty rate out of our 9-county area. So that means there's approximately 1,400 individuals in Seward County that are living in poverty. And last year, Blue Valley was able to serve 667 of those individuals. 330 of them received emergency services, so help with food, rent, utilities support, shelter, hygiene, diapers, that type of thing. When I talk about rent and utility support, I've been explaining as I've been traveling through the counties, when we do rental assistance, it's a one-time assistance, and it's usually about $150 because we have limited resources. Sometimes people think that we are paying an individual's rent for a year at a time, and that is not the case. It's a one-time assistance, and it's limited to $150. So just wanted to share that. Also, we have seen an increase of people needing help with food. And I think last year I talked to you about food as well. I wanted to also be clear that when we do food assistance, we are supplementing. We do not provide food for a family for a whole month. We don't have enough to be able to do that. And Deb does work with you. Sorry if that's me.
Maybe just leave it off.
we do work with the other churches and communicate with them so that we don't have people necessarily going to both places and utilizing both, or if there is a need for them to utilize both places, there is communication between Deb and those other resources. The last thing I want to share with you is we are in the process of doing our community needs assessment. We are required to do an assessment every 3 years. And so right now we have a survey open on our website and on our Facebook page, encouraging all of our communities to complete that survey. It takes about 10 minutes. Our hope and goal is to have at least 40 surveys from each one of our 9 counties. If we're able to do that, then we will be able to bring county specific data on the needs that are in each one of our counties. We are partnering with Public Health Solutions, and we have a contract with Crescendo Consulting to do the assessment. So next year I'll be able to bring an update of what the community needs are in your community and our 9-county area. This year I'm requesting financial support in the amount of $10,000, which is what we received from Seward County last year. Like I said, we use these funds to support those programs that the grants don't cover the total operational costs. So it's very important to us. It does help us to be able to continue providing those services. Perfect example is our our commodity supplemental food program that serves elderly individuals. The cost for that, we have about a $45,000 grant to try to serve all 9 counties. We see the need for that program to continue, so we use our CSBG funds and our county funds to help support that program. So that's just an example of how we utilize those funds. Do you have any questions for me or for Deb?
I have questions.
Sure.
Tough questions. So last year and the year before, and I think the year before that, we asked about the partnership that you might have with aging services. Did you ever get a chance to go and meet with Allison?
Yep. I mean, we're in the process. We have a new individual starting August 10th.
From my understanding, the support that was being offered to elderly individuals was nutrition based, and there's a lot of those programs that are being offered through the senior centers, and specifically the county funds a program every year. Right now, I think it's literally for one individual that's utilizing that, and so I just was curious if that was something that you guys had discussed or how we might.
So like I'm sorry, our commodity program.
So, and I can expand this a little bit too. So you talked about a community needs assessment.
Mhm.
So, and I can't remember if you guys were in those meetings with the extension or not. Were you there at the extension meeting? Okay, so several individuals have been asking the question about duplication of services,
Sure.
and I think that there's a lot of duplication of services in Seward County. So the extension board got together and was kind of trying to look at like, what are we doing and what are we doing well, and then maybe what are the gaps, and could we sort of shift some of our focus to fill some of those gaps. So you're talking about a community needs assessment, but I'm thinking you might want to check with the extension office because I'm pretty sure that they are well into that,
Okay.
and it might help,
Absolutely.
with that. So Carrie is who you would reach out to for that. She's been sort of heading that up. Are you familiar with her?
I'm not.
Okay. So we'll
Carrie
put
Gottschalk.
Yep. What's her last name?
Gottschalk.
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
I figured she kind of knows all the people.
I don't think did she used to do mental health services? Am I thinking wrong?
I don't think
I
so.
No.
don't believe so,
Okay.
but
We can, or Reagan, would you mind
Yeah.
connecting the two of them?
Heather's probably taking notes for me.
Okay,
So we
no,
got it.
that's fine. Yep.
Thank you.
So I think that would help with that. And then
Sure.
another thing, so, we talk about those food boxes, and it seems like that's a big part of what you do. And my question is, it's just my opinion that we have a lot of food programs in Seward County. I mean, a
Mhm.
lot of food programs. Every community seems to have their own food program. We have, oh my gosh, what's it called? Food Bank that comes out with their truck that has more like produce and dairy and things like that. So you were saying that food support is growing, but it's odd because we have so many programs. So yeah. So I'm not talking specifically. So that one with the aging part, what I was talking about is we fund, is it called Mom's Meals?
Mom's Meals.
Mom's Meals, which is like a delivered meal service. And at this point, we just have one individual who was utilizing that, so we didn't want to not support that one individual. So my question was, were you guys able to connect? Because I think that that was our request last year, is that you do meet with Allison and figure out maybe who that individual was and how you could connect. Because I think I would like, so if we could, so I know that you can't meet with her now, and Reagan's sort of filling in, but when we do get our new director, which will be in a couple weeks, I think it would be helpful to have that conversation. Because again, if you guys are offering that service for our seniors, I think that's great. We just need to make sure that they're all connected. And again, I think less duplication of services makes those dollars go further. So that was just my
And
question as
maybe
far
we
as that.
need to actually try to pull together a meeting with all the different resources that
I
provide
think
food so
so.
that we can figure
That would
out how to
be
better connect.
what I suspect happens for some, and again, this is not a judgment on anybody utilizing those, but I suspect that there's a population that's utilizing all of them. And maybe there's a population that needs them but isn't able to access them for whatever
Right.
reason. So it would be interesting to figure that out. Like, what are the limitations to access? I know our prior former public transit director had mentioned, like, well, maybe we could do a delivery, or maybe there could be something like that. So I think that that would be really helpful to understand.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
work on that list. And do you, I mean, do you probably have a list of all the different food resources? Okay. So we'll try to pull together a meeting and even for us to better understand requirements, limitations of each other's programs is also helpful. And it's been a couple years ago, the church, the Rock, we started to try to pull all the, not even just beyond food resources, but just all of the resources
Mhm.
in Seward County and try to figure out how to communicate back and forth with who's assisting who. We had a couple great, met probably a year and a half, but it was difficult because we all have different referral systems that we use to try to figure out how to pull that information together.
So there's Find Help and there's 211, which I think is really important. I
Yes.
think making sure that our information is on Find Help, not just you guys, everybody's information is on Find Help, would be really helpful. With Find Help, they ask, an individual will call, they'll ask the question. They ask other questions too, like, is there any other needs, or, they can sort of help with that. And so making sure that that organization has the information and the requirements will help individuals connecting with that. But also, I think connecting with Carrie as perfect. Good. Yeah. So you were talking about pooling. I'm not, so I'm glad to hear that, but I know not everybody in Seward County is doing that, right? So then it's like, well, then people they're not being connected. So I think that that's part of what Carrie's trying to do too, is say, okay, let's get everybody together and figure out what it is that we're doing, and then try to shift some of that to what we're not doing. So that's it for me. You guys have any questions? Comments? Okay. Thank you guys for
Thank
coming.
you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go to our 9:45 timed item, which is appointing the public transit director. Daryl, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. We did establish a hiring committee. It consisted of Misty Amick and myself, along with the HR director. I believe we had 9 applicants in total, based on qualifications and information that was supplied with the applications. We winnowed the number down to 5, and we did conduct 5 interviews. Kind of settled on 2 finalists. We had a secondary interview last week with one, and at this point, I would bring forth the name of Jaleisha Groon as the new public transit director, based on the consensus with the hiring committee. She is currently employed with the county as the Veteran Service Officer Assistant down at the West Wing. And the consensus of the committee was that we felt she would be a good fit. And while there's a lot of, I'll say, computer type requirements with this, particularly around the grant, I think she's well suited for that activity. So it would be our recommendation as a committee that we approve her as the new public transit director.
Since I was on the committee, I'll piggyback a little bit. While Jaleesa does not have direct experience for public transit nor really management experience, I do think she's a very well organized individual. She's very reliable. She's very good with technology. She has a good rapport already in the office, which I think will help in that transition. Of course, we hate that we're taking people from another department, but I do think it's good to promote from within in this instance, giving an employee another opportunity. So I do think she'll do a great job.
And just one other acknowledgement, we did have a conflict, and Commissioner Hine was kind enough to
Yes,
sit in on one
thank
of the
you.
interviews
Thank you.
to backfill Misty's position on the committee. So we appreciate her involvement with this as well.
Okay. Any questions about our potential director? Is there a start date? Is it
August
effective?
3rd.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
I would move that we approve Jaleisha Gruen to the position of Public Transit Director with a start date of August 3rd, 2026.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Zabrowski,
Yes,
Hein,
Yes.
McCarrick, Amick.
Yes. So that is 4-0 opposed to appointing Jalissa Gruen as the Public Transit Director effective August 3rd. One question I have, is she going to be doing it, is her transition between now and August 3rd, or are we expecting that there'll be additional transition after?
as it stands right now, we're looking at the 2 weeks.
So
Uh,
from now to then is the
From now to then is
transition.
kind of the transition.
Okay.
And I'll need to clarify that with the VSO, but that's the understanding that we at least had in principle with this. And I'll have another discussion. I'll be down there later today.
I know we had talked about it, and I think that there's going to have to be transition. It'll probably take longer than that, but I think everybody's aware of
But
that.
that's not to say that there can't be some, I'll say, assistance given,
Yeah.
but I think we have to operate a little judiciously here with our time.
Okay.
And make sure that we're not abusing the position, so to speak.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we'll go to our 9:50 timed item, which is payment options to Accurate Controls for VMS system and security control computer upgrade for the Justice Center. Good morning, Sarah.
So we had discussed last month on the future invoicing from Accurate Controls. I did receive that last week. And so we had taken the last payment for June out of the inheritance fund. So just following up with how we're going to handle the future invoices, such as this one.
So at the last meeting, we talked about potentially doing an exception. Remind me what the balance is after that payment.
After that payment?
Yeah.
$203,580.
$588.
So this invoice would be for the second portion of 101,790.
I'm in favor of actually just taking the exception for the 203,588. I realize that that has to come off the top next year, but that is where I'm at. That's what it's designed for. It's not like it's $1 million or even $500,000. I think it is designed for those one-time things, and this is a one-time thing. So that is what I would like to see, is us just take the exception.
This would be for the remaining balance and not just this payment, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And then she knows that she's just,
Would you want me to get another invoice? Okay.
we can still pay them the way
Okay.
that they're set up now. I think it's just designating where we're going to pay them from.
Okay.
But I think we should just take the exception, which would then come out of her budget still. It would just be an accepted item. So that would be just a change that we'll have to make. And we
Okay.
can do that during your hearing.
Okay. I don't need to make any changes on my side.
It'll be fine. We can do it during your hearing.
Okay, what is?
The total, 203,588.
Yes.
Is everybody okay with that
580.
before we actually make that? I'm just assuming it is okay, but I want to clarify that you guys are okay with that. So we paid the first payment, the 101-ish thousand or whatever. So the 208 would be an exception to the lid or to the cap, not the lid, the cap. So essentially she'll put it in her budget. Yeah, she'll put it in a budget, but that doesn't count towards the cap. So then what comes next year is we won't grow from that total. We'll grow from minus the
Minus.
208 essentially, but we wouldn't have that next year. So I think that that's really what the exception is designed for. I think this is a good test for us to see if this is something that we can utilize. Again, it's not 500,000, it's not a million. And I think it's a good use of what the intention is supposed to be for. So are you okay with that? Okay, are you okay with it?
I am.
Yep. Okay, so that's what we'll do. It'll just come out of your budget and we'll have to make that adjustment.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, we will go back to our untimed items number 7, which is an executive session for possible litigation and strategy. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I will move that we go into executive session at 9:55 a.m. for strategy and potential litigation.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Hein,
Yes.
Zabrowski,
Yes.
McCarrick. Amick.
Yes, that is 4-0 opposed to going into executive session to discuss possible litigation and strategy at 9:56 a.m. So we'll have legal and the board, and if we could have our zoning administrator too, that would be great. Thank you, John.
to come out of executive session.
Second, please call the roll.
Raffi,
Yes,
Klein,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Yes, that is 4-4, 0 opposed coming out of executive session where strategy and potential litigation was discussed and no decisions were made. We do have a public comment section. Were you here to talk for that? Oh, you're just waiting. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to give you the opportunity if you wanted. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so then we need to recess. It's 11:26. We need to recess and reconvene over at the jail for the jail inspection.
want to do our agenda here, or you want to do it over there?
That's probably a good idea. Let's not recess. Just say let's do the agenda for next week.
The state changed marriage license fees effective Saturday, but because of that, we had to redo our fee schedule.
Correct.
That for next week. We have claims, veteran of the month, and then zoning hearings. She has them at 9:30 and 9:40. And now I have the sheriff's office inventory. Do you want that time?
No, there's no reason to time that, I don't believe.
Okay. That's what happens.
Yeah, August 4th is the water discussion.
And then, if we're ready, I think we'll start with the
Yeah. And regarding the budget hearings, do you have a list of who is going to go next week?
I sent it out yesterday.
Oh.
But not to you guys yet.
Oh.
'Cause I told them to let me know if that works. And so far, I think that everybody is good. When I go down, I'll send it out to you.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for now? Okay. All right, so now we need to recess. It's 11:27 and we'll reconvene at the jail for the jail inspection.